Kristina Keneally likes to play ugly, divisive politics, and no matter how much trouble it creates for Labor, she keeps going. The Shadow Home Affairs Minister is campaigning against the entry into Australia of hardline Conservative Raheem Kassam. He's coming for a Conservative Political Action Conference, or CPAC, where Liberal MPs and other Conservatives will gather. Keneally won't back down on her demands that Kassam be denied entry into Australia. Now she's smearing anyone who dares to turn up at this Conservative conference, even trying to link them to the sickening massacre of worshipping Muslims in Christchurch earlier this year.
We're not immune to the extremist white supremacy movements that have sprung up overseas, and the internet is spreading it to our shores. We can't ignore the fact that one of our own took his murderous intent to New Zealand. What we are seeing this weekend in Sydney is a group of gun-toting, gun-loving NRA members coming to Australia, a group of people who have vilified the Muslim faith.
This is pretty low stuff. It's a sign of the polarisation of our politics. It's a resort to the sort of extremism that Keneally says she opposes. Somehow the left and most of the media want to tarnish Conservative politicians because of Christchurch or the right-wing views of the El Paso murderer in the US this week. But they remain silent about the hard left and socialist views of the Dayton shooter or the gunman who targeted the Republican congressman in a Washington charity baseball match a couple of years ago. Keneally and others are quiet. Others on the left tend to be quiet about celebrities who talk about bombing the White House or punching the president or even severing his head, yet they try to smear their mainstream political opponents with the most heinous, frightening and bloodthirsty atrocities. Too many in the media will not call out this sort of low tactic and the hypocrisy behind it, but mainstream Australians will never go for it. Extremist violence and hate speech ought to be resisted and called out on all sides of politics, and only those inciting violence and hatred ought to be accused of such loathsome behaviour. And as for freedom of speech and religion, how is it that Israel Folau should lose his job for supporting his religious views that homosexuality is a sin, and Kassam should be banned from our country for saying that the Muslim faith he was raised in is evil, in part because it can condemn homosexuals to death? People are twisting themselves in knots here, being partisan instead of principled.